Hey, Jose, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, Lois. Thanks for this interview.
It's a pleasure. First things first, maybe for the people who haven't met you yet, or maybe who are new to the network, who are you? Who are you associated with? And how did you join the Elrond Network?
Yeah, of course. I joined Elrond Network like 3 years ago, more or less, in the initial exchange offering of Binance. Until then, I was a trader, an investor. And then I like the white paper. I like a lot the white paper of Elrond Network. The team also, I saw some interviews, and then jump in with my small investment at that point, and then it goes down like 70%. So as always happened with
Yeah.
the initial things offering, but at that point I was like crushed. And I spent the summer. Luckily, I spent the summer on Telegram and real channels and with Elrond team, learning and helping to establish the first testnet nodes. So I was super lucky to have this initial dump.
Maybe going back to the beginning, what was the first thing that you really liked about the Elrond Network? What aspects were you drawn to?
Well, something I liked a lot was the culture of the team, because my background, I was like 20 years helping startups. So mainly I'm on the entrepreneurship field. And it's like I know when a project has a good team. You can feel it. It's really easy for me. So the team was the most important part, and then the technology was like so obvious for me what were the main problems or the main challenge of all the layer ones, that actually makes absolutely sense. The theory or the hypothesis that Elrond team was trying to solve, at that point. So at the moment, because I explained it like the origins, how I started, but at the moment, I'm involved like on the Spanish community. I'm mainly like Elrond ambassador because I'm traveling through Spain, making speeches on blockchain events, explaining Elrond Network continuously to the audience. Also, I'm co-founder of the PalmTreeNetwork. That is one of the most important staking providers on Elrond Network. PalmTreeNetwork is focused on securing the network and on education content for helping onboarding of new users and so on. And the last year, we founded from PalmTreeNetwork, we created a spin-off that is Moonlorian. Moonlorian is like a software factory. Moonlorian is an integrator to help projects to build above Elrond Network, and was mainly all my time, my full time is at Moonlorian at the moment, really, because we have 40 customers, 40 projects. So it's plenty of work helping projects.
Perfect. If you had to pinpoint the biggest advantage of the Elrond network, what would you say that is at the moment and possibly in the future?
Yeah, there is so many advantages. Indeed, when a company comes to us, because we are doing like meetings every day with new companies that wants to build something using blockchain, most of the customers that we receive are not like from Elrond ecosystem. So they are industrial companies that comes to us and they want to build. And usually the main advantage is like you can build a lot of functionalities without worrying about some things like the bandwidth or the cost of the transactions. You remove all these problems from the formula, and you can focus on the user experience, on the utility that you want to put on the application, and on the business processes. You can just build, And for me, that's something that puts Elrond at another level.
Yeah. When you think about the specific tasks that you need to perform on Elrond, let's maybe focus on first your personal stuff, and then from a business point of view, what would these tasks be?
Well, from a personal point of view, as an investor, I have some assets, and then I have obviously Ledger and Mayer application. So I'm happy with the tools we have. Obviously, we have some points that will be super interesting, like having a good tool for multi-sig. The day we have it will be super cool. Having some super secure storage like Engrave wallet, being able to interact with Elrond wallet, so you can stake, you can use Mayer exchange. This is not possible today, but maybe someday we can do that. And in the business point of view, so I'm mainly working, helping on the early stage of the startups. It's like, to put a metaphor, it's like someone wants to climb the Everest, and they come and we help them. We train them, we prepare them, we help them to choose the wear, everything, the material they need to be more easy if it can be to succeed.
Yeah.
Then obviously it's on the team itself. So we cannot make them succeed. We can help them in this early stage because it's one of the most critical parts of every startup, So we try to avoid most of the mistakes. So in the day-to-day, we are using Elrond Network as a tool to develop things about that.
And have you been happy with its performance so far?
Yeah, for sure. The performance, in the last 2 years, we have been 2 years with Mainnet. Really, the network is performing really well. We didn't have any downtime, like you see on other networks. I think it's important, especially for when you try to create bridges with the classic financial system. You need to deliver reliability, So because the bank is used to use IT platforms that always works, It's like, they are centralized. We can say it's centralized, but it works, So they need for sure solutions that didn't have 2 days, and we will tell you something, So the reliability of the network is amazing.
You've already touched on centralized systems, and there are some perks of the sort of traditional business segment. What do you think should be adopted from the traditional business scene that could be implemented into blockchain and possibly Web3?
Well, it's a good question. Some of the big companies that are coming to us, when we start preparing like the concept of the product they want to build, something always comes to the table. That is how the user is able to charge their wallet or their balance in the platform, and how they can cash out, exit from the platform. So to it's really important for me to have an euro stable coin backed by a bank account with a balance. This is, for me, this is key because we have a lot of projects that without that piece, you cannot build it in a proper way, because I can create integrations for sure with TwistPay, with Utrust. We can create integrations, but at the end of the day, the regular Joe, the regular user, will want, if I pay 50 euros. I want to see 50 euros balance.
Yeah.
I don't want to,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems so obvious that it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
This is something important.
Yeah. What do you think would be a sort of key application that is currently still missing when we talk about a program or specific aspect of the Elrond network?
Yeah, good question. I think we have some important components missing. One of them is the price orders index. You know, decentralized price orders is something important that you can see on other chains. And the main problem, because I was helping a team, I will not name the team,
sure.
but I was helping a team to build actually a system of price orders on Elrond. And the main problem we found is that once we checked the price, between we checked the price and we try to execute it, if it's in another chart, you have a problem because you cannot cancel the order. The price is not what you want.
Yeah.
So it only works if you have the smart contract on the same chart than Mayer Exchange at the moment. And this is a problem if you have all your platform running in another chart today, because you will need to move everything. So I think that multi-chart smart contracts DEX is the first step we need to do. Once we have that, we will be able to create a smooth experience on our solutions for price orders, because actually users like to have price orders. The centralized exchange is super funny, but is useless in the sense that you cannot, for example, create a good liquidation system for lending, because you cannot make these orders. Actually, I think this is something important. Also, another point is Ethereum virtual machine pain point. We have lots of projects that comes to us. Like, we are a big project. We have 40,000 users currently. We are cross-chart. We are on all these chains, and we want to add Elrond. And when we say, okay, but you will need to do it again, we can help from Moonloyan, but they are developers of Ethereum virtual machine. So the team itself is we don't want someone to build it for us. We want to be able to build it. So I think that the day we are able to create some kind of bridge tool, something for developers that you can execute some functions, maybe in a middle language, okay, but to be able to have the most important functions and components of Ethereum virtual machine running over the Elrond SDK will be amazing. I can tell you that there are more interest on building on Elrond Network than actually teams that finally takes this decision, because most of them in their path to go to Elrond, they decided not to do it because Ethereum virtual machine compatibility.
Yeah. Because you have such a good overview of so many different projects, if you had to give an estimate about how many of them are moving or are already working in the DeFi space, compared to maybe other applications that focus on NFTs, gaming, all the other stuff that is possible on the blockchain, what would be your estimate?
Well, at the moment, at least everything that is coming to us, I would say that DeFi is maybe 20%. It's not so big as someone can maybe expect. It's one of every 5 projects is related with DeFi. Some of the what I think that happened also with DeFi is in some networks, DeFi was like something driven by the same ways of the ecosystem. Like DeFi ecosystem on Polygon was created by the whales itself. On Binance Smart Chain, the same. If you go to Avalanche, the same. I mean, the main platforms of DeFi are from founders, co-founders, and all this. So I think that DeFi is something unique on the ecosystem, but also we will need to solve some things like this price, the multi-shard smart contract, being able to execute. So we have some missing pieces to make real good DeFi products.
Talking from the perspective or the point of view of a staking provider, would you like to see something like a DAO or some sort of voting system implemented with the Elrond network? Is that a big pain point for you, or would you say that the current situation is fine?
I would say that, look, if you think, for example, about a committed team with a vision working really hard from Monday to Sunday during years, we have, for example, the example of Tesla. Tesla company, they started almost 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So creating something really, really valuable takes a lot of time, because actually it's a huge goal. It's a huge goal. With plenty of components. People think that, okay, it's just a car. No, it's not just a car. It's everything behind the scenes, supply chains, the investigation, everything behind the car itself. So I think that on Elrond Network, for sure, when I started, the DAO and the governance was something really important for me at that point. But after some years, I realized that actually this governance will be important once the rocket is built, because I saw very clear how much work is yet to be done. And actually, we need to focus on these important parts, like, for example, the integration with TwistPay, with the bank accounts, European IBAN accounts. All this is super important. It is more important than governance, So we need to work and spend time and resources for that, to focus on that. And maybe the governance can be 2 years from now. I mean, I'm not rushing for that. I like it, I want it, but not need to be.
There are other priorities as of right now. But are there any applications or concepts that you've seen work really well on other blockchains that you think would add value to the Elrond network?
Well, I think that something that is happening with Ethereum is, all this is so new that it's a bit like when the phones started, wireless phones, and I mean at late 80s, early 90s, when the companies decided to start giving phones to the employees and integrating the mobile phone on their processes and their companies, they focused on the technology that was changing, but focused on the big players. Like, if there is Ericsson, they go to Ericsson, because it was harder enough for them to integrate the new technology, to discuss or try to discover the small company from California doing mobiles. So this is something I think is happening with Ethereum, in the sense that the banking system, also the investment funds and so on, the companies itself, is like, okay, this is like the big one, the first mover, smart contracts, Ethereum. So we trust on this because they started, So for me, this is like the real challenge, and it will take years. But over time, someone has a better technology or has something really different, like happened, for example, with BlackBerry. Then later on, they they end dying. But actually, at some point, they catch the company's market, the business market of mobile phone, because they have something different. They have a keyboard with all the letters.
Yeah.
The integration with the email on the companies. It was a revolution actually, because on the departments, ITs, they can establish their own servers on the companies for the BlackBerry and so on. So it takes time, but over time, new players has the chance, if they are ready, because that's the key. If you are ready, at some point, the companies, the bank system, and so on, wants the most performance, solution. They don't want the know it, the most known. They want the better performance.
Yeah.
So it will happen suddenly at some point. Maybe it's next year, maybe it's 2 years from now. But at some point, the industry will move from the known to the best. You know, and it's important to work on that day to day. I must say that big companies that approach to Moonlorian to try to build over blockchain, most of them, they didn't know nothing about like Cardano, Avalanche. Never. They know about that. They just want blockchain.
Yeah.
And they trust. And if you argue it properly, it's like, okay, Elrond is fine for us. You are the integrator. We trust on you. You know, the same way, if they are doing something with SAP or maybe with Microsoft, if Microsoft says you need this kind of server, okay. If you say it, yeah. So it's never a problem to be. It's never a problem to be not so much known when you are creating new applications. The only problem that someone thinks is a problem is that on the ranking of CoinMarketCap, Ethereum has a bigger ranking. But this is nothing. I mean, this is not succeed. Not succeed. It is just a number. Okay, you are bigger. Congratulations for that.
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give to someone who's just, or maybe a startup who's just moved into the blockchain and Web3 space, who are looking to build on Elrond? What would be your number one advice as of right now?
Well, if I need to choose like just one advice,
maybe even two.
Maybe two. I will say that I always say, try to build a business plan that makes sense without blockchain. Try to build a business plan that really makes sense on our world for the users. What added value you are putting to the users or to the business processes? What's the product itself? And then at some point, if you feel that makes sense to use blockchain, use it. But never use the technology just for raising capital, because it never works. You know, it never works. Indeed, I have some customers that we are moving into using Elrond Network, but financing themselves with the traditional financial
means,
system.
basically.
Yeah, like shares of your company. And you search for some private investors that are stakeholders of your company, and that's it, you know, and using the blockchain as a layer for adding some value to the users, you know. This is something we need to work every day more and more, because I think we are too focused on the markets, on the investment, on the pump and dump, and all these things, that we are missing like the big goal, you know, that is creating actually a network full of users of an application.
And then maybe just a wrap-up question, something nice to think about at the end. Where do you see the Elrond Network in 1 year?
For sure. If you think it's it's curious how time flies when you're live on Telegram, you know. But actually, if you think 1 year ago, we just have one token on the network, EGLD.
Yeah, I remember.
And today seems crazy because people tells to me, I don't know what to choose, what application to choose, what game to choose. There is so many options on Elrond Network, you know, that actually is crazy, and it happened suddenly. So, and we didn't have in the first 6 months, like from the summer of the last year to the spring, we didn't have like too much development tools and so on. And today, after all these paths, we have great teams like for example Elrondians. We have great teams sharing tools continuously to the network. So it's maturing at a pace really fast, and I can imagine having 1 year from now like 5 times more applications on the network.
Okay.
Easily, I think that we will surpass 500 projects on the network by the next year. So it's exploding. We feel it. We can see it. It's exploding on the applications. Most of the applications will die. That's something common on any entrepreneurship field.
Yeah.
It's not about blockchain. Any startup field is like 5% of the startups really survive 3 years. You know, so most of them will die. But we just need few projects that succeed a lot. If you think, for example, about Ethereum, and we try to remove, imagine to remove from the last 2 years, Uniswap, Aave, Chainlink, you know, OpenSea. Remove these 4, just these 4, and Curve Finance, if you want. With 5 projects, and Ethereum is 8. Imagine, will be like 10 times smaller. 10 times smaller. So we just need some projects to really succeed and to draw more users, millions of users to the network.
You've already said that you've had a look at Entity at the current stage. Obviously, the team is developing a project monitor. Are there any additions that you would like to see on the project monitor? Is there any aspect that you think would add value or maybe help users find the projects that will actually survive?
I think that Entity with the project monitor, something that maybe can be cool is because people start getting lost actually. So imagine, just thinking aloud, okay?
Yeah.
But imagine I can log in with my wallet on Entity, and I can some way check 4 projects to follow these projects. And when I log in with my Maya application, I can see like a dashboard with the last news of this project and so on. So for me, it's easy to don't lose, for example, that will be a special staking event next week of one of my investments, you know.
Yeah.
So don't miss in this. Is every time more and more complex because there are so much noise that actually having a tool for that is important. And also another good function that can be done is something like I will not say a whitelist, but in contact with teams. Imagine, for example, that Entity has like a meeting with some projects like maybe Cobat or Proteo DeFi, one project. And with the developers, you whitelist the smart contracts and and the functions, okay? So if someone, because sometimes a user, an investor goes to travel like 3 months and then comes back to the Elrond Cave and say, I don't remember which smart contracts I signed. I don't remember what I have and where I have it, you know? So I don't remember where I stored my NFTs, where I stored my... So having some kind of whitelist and an entity should be able to say to you, okay, you stake it on the NFT on a Cobat application, you know.
Yeah.
So at least you can see what you are signing, what you have signed. Not everything for sure, but all the smart contracts and functions that you are able to contact some teams to have this information, you know.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Jose, for taking the time. Muchas gracias. And it was very nice talking to you, and I'll keep you up to date. And hopefully we'll have a talk in the near future and see how our predictions have come true. Maybe 1 year from now, and see how many of these 500 projects have survived.
Will be interesting for sure.
We'll do that. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening and talk to you soon.
Thanks to you. Bye.